Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining the Spiritist Talk series promoted by the United States Spiritist Federation every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I am very happy to host this talk by Jana Machado, who will be leading our live with the theme, Why Change? Let's all give Jana a very warm welcome, and please allow me to introduce her before she starts her presentation. Jana Machado was born in Blumenau, Santa Catarina, and moved to the U.S. in 2002. In 2007, she was introduced to Spiritism by a friend while visiting for the first time the Spiritist Society Seeds of Light in Fort Myers, Florida. She has been a member of that society since then. At this moment, Jana is a board member of the Spiritist Society Seeds of Light and the Spiritist Federation of Florida. Jana is also part of the Children and Youth Committee of the Spiritist Federation of Florida. Jana considers herself to be an ongoing learner and apprentice of the Spiritist Body of Knowledge. Please take this opportunity to send your questions during the presentation using the chat window. Jana has reserved time to address your comments and questions once she concludes her presentation. And now, Jana Machado.
Thank you for having me. So, good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all this morning to talk about a topic that, in my opinion, it is so important today. And I have done this talk at the Spiritist Center I belonged to a couple of years ago, and it was right around when COVID started, and people were, afraid of what was going to happen, afraid of change, what's going to be tomorrow. And today, it's still pretty up to date, the topic. Last night, as I was talking about, thinking about, what, I could also add to the presentation today, a thought crossed my mind, especially about how on today's world, everything changes so quickly. Like we may read something that it's trending today and tomorrow it's not anymore. So the technology is changing every day so quickly. But why us as a spirit, it is so difficult to change? And we're going to talk about some changes in remembering that the change that we want to focus in today, it's about the moral change. And to open our talk, we're going to talk about the ancient Egyptian tale about the little red fish. And that's from the book Liberation by Chico Xavier. I have material from the Spirit's book and the book Taught in Life also. So this little tale, it opens up the book Liberation. And I do believe it is such an important tale. It talks about a little red fish that lives on a pond. And he's surrounded by big fishes, like big fat fishes. And he has to kind of fight for his life every single day. He survives out of crumbs. He has no space for, a comfortable living. And then every single day, he goes around and he checks the surroundings. And there comes a time that he comes in contact with a space that goes beyond the pond. And when he is faced with that, then he is also faced with, a question. Do I stay where I am or do I go after the new? So if I stay where I am, we all have been there because we know, even if it's a bad, even if we're not too comfortable, we know that situation. But when we are faced with new changes, a new world, it's like, what's going to be tomorrow? So the little red fish, faced with an unforeseen opportunity of a world of healthy adventures He said to himself, wouldn't it be interesting to get to know life better and explore other places? So he decided to leave. Um, so he went to this place, saying encouraging promises to himself. He advanced optimistically up along the canal, enhanced with the new scenery, rich with flowers and sunlight. And he continued on, inebriated with hope. And that's like us in life. We are faced sometimes with new paths. And while we are doing that, we must allow ourselves to live the new, but also we must acknowledge that we are capable of doing that. We must believe in ourselves. So he completely transformed in his concepts of the world. So once he arrives, because I'm kind of cutting this, the tale short because it's not a little tale, it's kind of long. So once he arrives at this new place, he sees, variety of, different things he never knew even existed. So completely transformed in his concepts of the world, he began to enjoy the infinite riches of life. He came across luminous plants, strange animals, gliding stars, a variety of flowers in the ocean depths. But best of all, he found many thin and studious little fish like himself, with whom he felt warmly content. And isn't that just like us when we meet new people that we think alike? And if we are focused in learning something, we have those people that surrounds us and helps us achieve that goal for the moment. Okay, hold on. And then the little fish thought and thought, because he was living a wonderful life. Remember that before he barely had space to sleep, he barely had food, and now he is living an abundant life. And feeling an immense compassion for those with whom he had lived his early years, he decided himself to their progress and salvation. He decided to dedicate himself to their progress and salvation. So he goes back to the place where he used to live, and nobody even noticed that he was gone. So their despised benefactor took advantage of this opportunity and enthusiastically explained that there was another glorious and endless liquid world beyond the pond. The pond was nothing and could disappear at any time. Beyond the nearby drain, another life and another experience unfolded. Happiness, however, had its price. They would all have to lose a lot of weight and meant abstaining from so many worms and larvae in their dark hideaways, and they would have to learn to work and study as much as required for the venturesome journey. And then this is where we come across in life. If we use the analogy of the pond being, the world, and then, the earth, and that big ocean being the universe, this is us as, a spirit living this material life, but there is so much more beyond what we can see. And then the little fish continues, to talk to them. Can't you see that not even one of my fins would fit through here? One of the big fishes said. You big fool, get out of here. Don't disturb our peace of mind. Our pond is the center of the universe. No one else has a life like ours. And then he leaves, that pond behind sadly. And sometime after, there was a time where the water was drained and all those fishes came, to perish. So this, I wanted to bring this opening story for us to make kind of relation of how many times in life we are invited to change, whether is a new profession, whether is leaving behind a bad habit, a vice, or having to put effort to really work to something that it's more important than what we currently have. And then the question is, why change? Why is it so important for us to change, being a spirit that has lived so many lives and that will still live many more to come? And then I did do a little drawing. So that's my own drawing. Forgive me because I'm not, a big artist. That's not my talent. But I have done a little drawing just to talk about us as a spirit, because when we talk about humanity, we have all been created from the same starting point, and we all have the same goal at the end, which is reach perfection and become pure spirits. But we have not been all created at the same time. So we were created, God only knows when. And at this right moment, there are spirits being created. So, but it's important that we visualize that we all have the same starting point. Like, we all know the question from the Spirit's book that we were created, simple and ignorant. And then we all have a same goal. So my little drawing is to make a point where there is a moment in the creation of the spirit that we all go through the same experience. Those first phases of the infancy of the spirit. Just like a little baby that is born, there are, until they are able to make choices, it's almost like the same experience for all of the babies. So, us as a spirit, the moment we have reason and free will, we start making choices. And that's where our paths go in different ways. So I made a little drawing going, up and down just to visualize that, we all were walking, together. And then all of a sudden, I, Jana, may do a choice that will lead me one path. And then maybe John will do another choice that will lead him at another path. How long it's going to take us to arrive at the final goal, which is being perfect, we have no idea, because it's up to us. It is up to us to change today, make better choices as a spirit, so we can conquer the goal faster. On the question, the Spirit's book 540, I just made that note, so if anyone would like to read, it's a longer answer, but it does talk about the original Adam to the archangel, meaning that we are created and we have all had the same beginning and we all have the same ending. And then, what is the contribution Spiritism bring to us to help us on the path of perfection? And I always like to make, to say that when we talk about perfection, it's a relative perfection. We know that only God is perfect. If we were perfect, we would be God. So it's a relative perfection. But as a pure spirit, we could say, comparing to today, that we would be perfect. And then, so let's see what is the contribution that Spiritism brings to us, and how does it help someone that maybe has never ever heard about Spiritism. Maybe it's something so new. So what is, some simple pinpoints that Spiritism will bring to table that is different from all other maybe religions or teachings? And I did get, and I believe this is from the United States Spiritist Federation. I believe I got it, from their little pamphlet. So Spiritism is based by science, religion, and philosophy. So we have, it's like our little triangle. And then what it reveals new and more profound concepts with respect to God, the universe, human beings, the spirits, and the laws which govern life itself. Furthermore, it reveals what we are, where we came from, where we are going. What is the objective of our existence? And what is the reason for pain and suffering? So, some of these are big questions that people have throughout their lives. Why have I lived, this experience? Why was I born in this family? And one thing that, whenever we have gatherings and we're talking about family among spiritists, and that I can say about myself, talking with my friends, it's like, remember when, people used to say, I did not choose my parents, I did not ask to be born. And with Spiritism, we learn that actually we did have, a part in it. I'm not going to go into that because that's a topic for another, day. But it does, Spiritism will tell us where we came from, where we're going, why we suffer, why the pain, so we can understand. So, and then what it comprises Spiritism by bringing new concepts about human beings and everything that surrounds them. Spiritism touches on all areas of knowledge, human activities, and behavior, thus opening a new era for regeneration of humanity. Spiritism can and should be studied, analyzed, and practiced in all fundamental aspects of life, such as scientifically, philosophical, religious, ethical, moral, educational, and social. I used, before I learned about Spiritism, I was able to, because I am the first Spiritist and still up to today, the only Spiritist person in my family. So I come from a background of Catholic and, well, we would, like from maybe a Methodist, church, from evangelical. I don't know what is the correct term in English for that. So I went to the youth groups for, the churches, and I always had so much fun, especially with the singing and, working. So when I came to United States and I had no place to go, and when my friend invited me to visit, Seeds of Light, I was like, I was afraid. I will be very honest. I was like, what am I going to find there? What is it that, they teach? Because to be honest, what I have heard back in the days, 20 years ago, things that I heard about Spiritism, it was not true. Have I believed the things that I heard, I would never have found this beautiful doctrine. If I was afraid of the new, I would never have learned so much from the Spiritist doctrine. And I remember when I first, started reading the books, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I was missing. That is the link from things that I wanted and didn't even know I needed. And up to this day, I tell, whoever I talk to, if it wasn't for Spiritism, maybe my life would be very different today. And because of that, I was able to understand most of this, what the Spiritism revealed. So to change, it is inevitable. Whether we want to change or not, we are going to. How fast we navigate, it is up to us. Let me see here. And then with that, we come to the next, I would say, important topic, because it talks about virtues and vices. So once we become, let's say, youth or young adult, spirit talking, we then are completely responsible and accountable for our choices and for our doing, whether it's wrongdoing or not. And with that, let me just see if I have any other. And then with that, talking about virtues and vices, it does require effort. It does require the need of an action. I just had the most amazing experience this weekend at the at the 10th Spiritist Youth Retreat in Kent, Connecticut. And seeing those teenagers and young adults coming together, working, during the workshops, during their free time, creating bonds, making new friends, but most important, talking about Spiritism even after the activities. So we all have our vices and virtues. And we also, like we could say vices such as, I love chocolate cake, and that could be considered something, if I have no control over. But remember that our focus is more about the moral part, is where when we think about Jesus, what was the teachings? What was his teachings? What did he want us to learn from his short time on earth? And let me see my next slide. So on question 907, Kardec asks, as our passions have their roots in nature, are they evil in themselves? No, it is only their excess that is evil. For excesses implies a perversion of, I can see too well. I gotta get a little closer. Perversion of the will. But the principle of all his, thank you. But the principle of all his passions has been given to man for his good, and they may all spur him on to the accomplishment of great things. It is only their abuse that does harm. So in life, we are surrounded by choices every single day. And it's only the excess, like the Spirit's answers us, that it's actually, bad. So when we focus about working, I had Victor and I during the youth retreat. We had a participation in one of the workshops, and then we asked the kids, what is something that you like to do on your own, like that motivates you, and then versus something that your parents want you to do. And it was interesting that they all kind of have the same question, I mean, the same answers. And then I remember when one person said, about making a living so they could move out of their parents' room, a parent's house. At the same time that the person said this, I could tell that he felt uncomfortable, as if we were going to judge him because he was focusing on something that it's more earthly. And then we said, in life, we have to make choices. Sometimes we have to focus in certain areas more than others. But the most important is we should never allow ourselves to not focus on what it's important for their spirit also. So it's like we have to make sure that we're able to have a balance. And but it was just so interesting to see the kids. I mean, it was amazing, their participation. And we can see from last year to this year, I myself was able to see the improvement of some of those things, as far as their how they acted, how they were interacting with other people. And this is the beauty about Spiritism, helping us to evolve every day. And then the next question is 909. Would a man's own efforts always suffice to enable him to vanquish his evil tendencies? And I love this answer. And I always, try to remember that for myself. Yes, a very small effort is often all that is needed. It is the will that is missing. It is quite astonishing how few of you make any serious effort. And when we talk about effort, we could also add, I'm going to give, two. Um, I'm going to mention two books where, if you have any curiosity, you can go and read about. One is in Thought and Life, on message number 2. It talks about the will. It is a very beautiful message, and also Leon Denis. Uh, I'm not sure about the translation, the name, but I think, it talks about the potentials of the soul, the potencies of the soul. And it talks about free will, love, willpower. And then willpower, it is one of the potencies of the soul, potentials of the soul, that it's actually, that goes with this question. Because effort means, you have that effort to do, but the will is actually what will make you go through with. We had an exercise during the youth retreat where it required patience. And I was in that, with the group, and we had to work together as a team. And I have to say that I got a headache after, that play, because it required a very attentive, step from each member, and we had to be all on the same page. And then we had people different ages, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. And then at the end of the day, I was like, yes, you can, because the kids are doing, so you have to also do it. So it requires effort, but the willpower will determine whether you will go through or not, when trying to overcome and conquering new things in life, whether it is a material or, most important, spiritually. And then this brings us to something that I always think about. When we study Spiritism, we understand that the high order spirits, they know us. They look at us, and they can read. Like, I can put a mask on, and maybe everybody around me would not notice my real feelings for that moment. So let's say I'm going through a very sad phase in my life, but I don't want anybody to know. I can put on a happy face, and maybe only 2% of the people around me may know me so well that they will notice that I am not doing well. With the spirits, we cannot hide. And then this, I wrote this, so it's not in any of the spiritist books. Okay, so every day we are invited to look inwards, to visit or to look in our inner world, to visit those dark corners that we avoid. It is important to acknowledge those corners in order to start shedding some light on it. And when I wrote this, I was going through a phase in my life. And I was like, okay, Jana, you have to acknowledge, whether you like it or not, that this is happening. Because sometimes it's so painful that we want to pretend that, that little dark corner does not exist. But it does. The moment we acknowledge and the moment we actually have the strength to overcome it, it is amazing. So there is those three little monkeys, see no evil, speak no evil, and hear no evil. A couple years ago, I was at a job doing, some services, and I saw a little monkey that I have never seen before. And of course, I took a picture because I was like, this is so like, this is spiritism. That's my thought. Okay, that's like maybe 6 years ago when I took the picture I'm going to show you next. And it's the little monkey looking at himself. And then when I walked in the room, I had like a moment, and remember, I was working. So this was like a few seconds, but I still remember the day. So I walk in the room and I see the little monkey and I thought, that is so interesting. What is the monkey looking at? And then it was a mirror. So not only us as a spirit, to progress, we need to know ourselves. We need to understand so we can change. So our invitation today is that we can use Spiritism as a tool to help us overcome all those areas in our life that needs attention. And it does not mean that we have to go and tell people, what is going on with us. There are things that are private and you don't have to share. But as long as you acknowledge it is a beginning, as long as you acknowledge you need change, or that and even if we are at a moment in life where everything seems perfect, there is always room for improvement or learning new things. So learning new things as a spiritist, as a mortal spirit, it is an ongoing, thing. But I really love this picture because when I saw that, I was like, look, he is looking at himself and then he has like a shocked, face. And this is us every single day. This is us in life when we have to look within and make sure that we are, that we pick up ourselves and, continue on. And I'm coming to an end. So I wanted to say, change is difficult in the beginning, confusing in the middle, and beautiful at the end. Just like the caterpillar that once was on the ground, maybe, suffering all the obstacles of life. And then there was a moment, she goes into the cocoon, and maybe we can look at that if we don't know about and think, oh, that's the end. But then the next phase is the most beautiful yet to be, which is, it gives the caterpillar, now becomes a butterfly. So us as a spirit, we all have, if we remember my little drawing from the beginning, that we have a beginning and we have, the same goal at the end. we could see ourselves as, the caterpillar that goes through all those experiences in life, the vicissitudes, the painful, the happiness, because guys, there are so much happiness in life. There is so much good going on. Sometimes on social media, I see, a lot of people sharing negative things, but then I also see those shy people that are, feeding, good things. Just like now, when I would say, millions of people came together to help the people in Brazil with, the mudslides and in Rio Grande do Sul. So change is inevitable. It will happen one way or the other. And it's up to us if we are going to, move faster, move steady, or stay stuck. And even if we are stuck for a while, eventually we will move on and progress. So, my last slide is so courage. Why not change today? So, the invitation this morning is, let us all change. Let us all look within and see what is the area in my life today that I need to improve. And then, making notes, reading messages, praying for our guardian angel. It is a beginning. And I can assure you that when you look back a year from today, you may say, wow, I had no idea I was able and capable of doing this, of overcoming this, and and changing and evolving so much. And so my invitation this morning is, have courage and let's all change together. And that is, my contribution for this morning. Joa, do I do the prayer now or
Thank,
after?
thank you very much, Jana, for your wonderful insights and reflections you provided us today. Everyone, please stay with us for the Q&A session with Jana. That will start shortly after just a few announcements. There's a new virtual course, Introduction to Mediumship. It's a free virtual course for beginners. The U.S. Spiritist Federation is thrilled to invite individuals eager to explore the realm of spirit communication according to Spiritism. Check out the new course at https://learn.spiritist.us or scan the QR code on the flyer. And be certain to save the date for the 18th U.S. Spiritist Symposium on September 21st, 2024 in Boston, Massachusetts. The theme is Life Through the Lens of Immortality, Philosophy of Spiritism. There is a podcast-like series, Psychology and Spirituality, A Bridge to a Better Life, based on the works by Joanna De Angelis. A new episode appears every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It is available on YouTube and Spotify. The Spiritist app, Be My Hope, which is available now on the App Store or Google Play, offers uplifting content in a collection of videos, daily messages, and audio materials. Download it now. And on the screen, you will note there is a QR code. If you want to help the USSF produce more publications and promote Spiritism to everyone, scan the QR code on screen for your donation. Now, let's start addressing the comments or questions from the audience. There is still time to send in yours. Okay, from the U.S. Spiritist Federation. Question: do we need to flow with all changes, or can we choose what to accept for ourselves?
Living in a world where things are changing every day, For sure, in my personal opinion, we should not accept everything, meaning if it's negative, because there are things that many people will accept or that it's even lawful, by law, but morally it's not. So at the end of the day, we should always put in perspective, is this new change that I am accepting, is that going to help me to evolve? Am I helping other people around me also? I think that would be the most important, to focus on, is it beneficial for my growth spiritually and for the people around me?
Okay. Thank you for that, Jana. And we have one from the TVCEI, International Spiritist Council. According to the law of progress, we're always evolving. Where is progress when we refuse to change?
Progress is happening whether we want or not, regardless of us acknowledging or not. Uh, as you were giving the new programs coming up, I read this question, and then a thought crossed my mind. If we go back in time and think about when there was no light, when Thomas Edison was still trying to make the light, those people that did not accept or did not like, whether they wanted or not, progress happened. And sometimes in life, even if we don't want to, we will be carried with. As a spirit, of course, we have our free will because we have our responsibilities. But universally speaking, or generally speaking, as a humanity, progress is happening whether we want or not. As an individual, progress may take longer or not, depending on how we move. If we move faster or if we are stuck, if we don't want to accept a change, maybe if I accept something today and not in 100 years, I could have, already walked that path instead of waiting another 100 years to have another opportunity. Because remember, reincarnation is the opportunity. Because how many people had to be together in order for us to be here? So,
Good thoughts. Good thoughts. Thank you. And from the U.S. Spiritist Federation, can we prepare ourselves for change if we don't know what it is or how it will affect us?
I would say, because when we talk about change, it could be something big or small. And sometimes we are in a situation that we have no idea what's going to be the outcome. So in this, I would say, I'm going to use, a phrase, what would Jesus do? So when we prepare ourselves, if we don't know how to choose, if we don't know the outcome, what would Jesus do? And when we say that, it's just because Jesus had always put the moral part first. What is that? It's my responsibility at that moment. So I would say, yes, we can still prepare ourselves, even if we don't know what is it. As long as we are, making good choices, I think we are already on the right path.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Okay, and from the TVCEI, International Spiritist Council, can you talk more about the youth retreat? How many participants? What is the format and objective? Does it happen every year? Is it open for what ages and for anyone that wants to participate?
Okay, I'm glad that somebody asked that because I'm so happy, about this event. I went last year for the first time as a chaperone, and then this year again as a chaperone. So this year's event, we had about 130 people. The ages are from 13 to 30. So these groups are divided by ages. Everybody does the same activities, but then the groups are, divided by ages. So we have 13 to 19, and then 20 to 30. And so we have the youth, and we have what we call the young adults, because the young adults are those people that came out of, teenage years. They are still not quite adults, where, they have their life all together. And then sometimes they have no place to go or no people of their own age. So in this last retreat, last weekend, we could see all of them getting together and, and enjoying themselves. The objective is, there is always a topic. So this year's topic was piece by piece, meaning, peace as, on earth, and then that we are a piece of the puzzle to make peace happen. And then there are workshops. So it's a 3-day event. It's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And it's always on Memorial Weekend. And Kent, Connecticut, it's the place where, it took place. It is open for, the ages I told you. And anyone can participate as long as they are connected to a Spiritist center. So let's say, where you are, you have a Spiritist center and you never heard about the youth retreat. And then you have teenagers or young adults. So you would contact them. And then, of course, we fill out, forms. And so this year we had people from 8 states, all over United States. We had a group from Canada and a person that came from Brazil. So it was like amazing to see the outcome.
That was truly wonderful. Thank you very, very much for enlightening us more on the youth. From the United States Spiritist Federation, as spirits, can we ask for certain changes to help us progress?
Always, as if we are at a moment in life and we don't know what to do, we have the biggest resource that I would say myself may take for granted, which is prayer. Because when we connect to, our guardian angel, to the high order spirits, and we ask for help, they are always there for us. It does not mean that they are 24 hours, next to me, because they have more important things to do. But if I connect, and then if my ask, it is, something important, especially for my progress, yes, we can always have help to progress. And then the help will come in different forms. It may be an inspiration. It may be a new coworker that, walks into your life, or a friend that will lead you to a path that at the end, we are able to overcome whatever we are, working at that moment.
Very good thoughts. Thank you. From Yasko Arakawa. Hi, Jana. To introduce Spiritism to rather incredulous and headstrong people in various social groups, with your own experience, how to be more effective and with least collateral damage should we proceed?
This is such a sensitive question, because we all go through that. Like I said, in my family, I'm the only Spiritist person. And every so often, I do get some, messages, and I have to be like, okay, take a deep breath. We're not going to get into an argument. Kardec actually gives us an answer. He says that sometimes if the person does not believe, it's not worth to fight. There is the What is Spiritism, the book. in that book, he brings some really good information. But one thing that I always think about is, what is the common point that we can bring to the conversation? Because in my family, like at my house, my family members are evangelical, and then so therefore they do not believe in reincarnation, the survival of the soul, as we believe. But we believe in God, we believe in Jesus. So we make a bridge of the common points we share, and then with time, people tend to be more open to learn more about it. But if we want to shovel down, you have to believe this, it's not going to happen. It has to be really something that, that the person really wants to. But I would focus especially on the things that we have in common. And then, my sister-in-law always tells me, Jana, you always talk about spiritism without even mentioning the word spiritism. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's how we can bring the principles of spiritism to a conversation. And sometimes we don't even need to say, oh, this is a spiritism, because by the example how you live, and then other things, we are able to, but I share that with you. It's not easy.
Sharing is very helpful. Thank you for those thoughts. And from the TVCEI, International Spiritist Council, how should we deal with frustrations of trying to change and failing?
This, I would say, it's an easy answer to say, but I would say much more difficult to put in practice, is to never give up. So if we fail, we pick up from that, from that point. So if we fail, let's not think, oh, everything that I've done now, it's lost. No, it's not. So let's pick up from that moment, and then, we can continue on. But then I would say we also have to understand that as individuals and as a spiritual being, we all have different levels of understanding. So something that I may fail, it may be at a certain level for me, but maybe for the next person it is, so high. So we deal with the frustration differently. But it's important that we never give up. I think that is, the most important. Emmanuel also tell us that we should always acknowledge and praise our small achievements, because every day we achieve small, achievements. And then when we do that, we're able to get, the strength we need. And when fail happens, we may be able to go through a little better. But never give up. Never.
Very encouraging. Thank you for that, Jana. And from the U.S. Spiritist Federation, will our senses or our spiritual mentor help us know if we are improving?
I think that we, as ourselves, we can acknowledge that, like, are you the same person you were a year ago? Or, when you look back, if you ask yourself, am I the same person? If you are exactly the same person, chances are, change is happening very little, progress is happening very little. But I can look back, 10 years ago, and that Jana from 10 years ago does not exist anymore. It is in me, but I am not the same person. And I would say the more we are connected to our mentors, I can affirm that, yeah, I think they would probably be able to, let us know that we are on the right path. But deep inside, we all know when we are or not. So our conscience will always, tell us. And so if we truly, ask ourselves, take the moment to meditate on it, the answer comes. And hopefully we are all moving steady. We do not worry about moving as, a F1 car, like in miles and miles. Steady pace is always better. We will achieve what we need.
Thank you, Jana. And our appreciation to everyone who watched today's Talk Live and those who have been following our weekly Spiritist Talk series. Now, we will not have a live talk next Saturday, June 8th, but be certain to join us on Saturday, June 15th for another informative presentation. Jana, before we close the live, would you please offer a prayer?
I sure will. Thank you. At this moment, I would like to invite all of the friends that are listening to us and all of the friends that might listen to this later. We ask God for understanding, that we may all have, that courage, that strength to do what is asked for us today. Heavenly Father, you are so abundant. You offer us life. You offer us so many things that we take for granted. But today we want to thank you. We want to thank for all the little things in life. And to our brother Jesus, thank you for all the teachings, so we as human beings can look up to you and do better. We also thank all the spirits that are here with us, that may we all walk together, progress, and achieve the goal of perfection. Thank you, and so be it.